Okay, so hello everyone. Okay, so hello everyone. So let's start. So the point of tonight is to educate you a bit on Flywheel. How does it work? How does our flywheels work? We will also speak a bit about the roadmap. What are we working on right now? So I will give some information about our new protocol, Cascade. I will leave this for the end of the live. For now, we'll just explain you a bit the migration process between the JRT and the Jarvis token. And then, of course, I'm going to speak about the flywheels. Let me share first my screen. Here we go. So, first thing first, I wanted to mention about the migration. Before we had one token called the JRT. It had 555 million token. This was the total supply. And we are migrating from JRT to Jarvis, which has a lower supply, 42 million, which means that you cannot exchange one JRT for one Jarvis. Actually, the ratio is 13.45 and so on. The value doesn't change, only the number. So even though you may end up with less token, don't be afraid. The price is, of course, higher. We didn't create new tokens out of this migration, so there is no inflation. So we have exactly the same market cap and the same fully diluted value. In order to migrate, it's fairly simple. You just have to connect through our app, jarvis.money. You go on the migrate page. You just connect your wallet and you can do the migration on either chains. Could be Ethereum, it could be Polygon, it could be BSC, doesn't matter. Sometimes there could be some liquidity issue because we have to manually add the Jarvis token in different chains. The Jarvis are not created when you migrate. We have to pre-deposit them into the smart contract. So if you have issue migrating your Jarvis, your JRT, just DM me, send a message on Discord, Telegram, and we're gonna add liquidity on the chain where you need. So why do we change? Few reasons. The first one is obviously marketing. We wanted to start out of a clean sheet. Launching a new token was, I think, something very logical. The first token, the price action was not very good. We had our good moments at the beginning of the DeFi summer, but then we never really recovered from our all-time high. I don't say that the Jarvis will go back to the all-time high, but visually speaking, it's true that it could scare some new entrants. Then, since we are going to launch new protocols and we are doing some kind of shift in the project by adding other things in our, let's say, toolbox, we also wanted to have a new token to symbolize these changes. So Jarvis will remain the main token of everything that we are going to do. But some protocols that we are currently developing or will be developing might have their own token. And this token could be seen as a under token below the Jarvis token. So even though there will be maybe sometimes new tokens, the Jarvis token will still remain on the top of all the things that we're doing. Now let's speak about the flywheel. So I'm pretty much sure that most of you are aware of what a flywheel is. How does it work? So I will mainly speak for the one who do not know. I will first start with these screenshots. It's the DEX Aero base on the layer 2 base. You can see that the Jarvis pool against ETH has some fairly good liquidity, $1.1 million, and a decent yield, 118%. Let's round it to 120% per year, which means that the liquidity providers of this pool receive $1.2 million of Aero token per year. Of course, As you know, it is annualized. So it doesn't mean that next week it will be the same. It doesn't mean that before it was the same. It could be higher, it could be lower. But as today, when I have done these screenshots, those are the numbers. For me, it's a good liquidity considering our market cap. We are around $2.5, $3 million market cap. So to have $1 million of liquidity on one DEX, we have also a few hundred K on other DEXs. Altogether, we should have something like $1.5 million of liquidity. We also have a treasury amounting around 1.5. So for our market cap, I'm confident saying that it's pretty cool numbers. But how did we get there? Because last year, at the same period, we had around 150 and maybe $200,000 of liquidity. So before, to attract liquidity, we were paying off our pocket using Jarvis token, I mean JRT. It was okay, but who wants to have a JRT token? Most of the time it was JRT holders. It was quite hard to attract new people. And when people receive their JRT token, most of the time they were selling them. It was something that costs money for us, for the DAO. And fortunately for us, the VE token era started. I will explain you a bit after what are VE token, and I mean, it will be a very straightforward explanation. And right now, the cool thing is that the liquidity provider are all paid in tokens of our project. So on this DEX, they are paid in IRO. On this one, where the liquidity is $306,000, and the yield is also great, 115% a year, it is paid in EPX and DDD, two tokens. So I will explain you how did we get there. And for that, I need to give you a bit of maybe a reminder about what are VE tokens. So VE tokens have been introduced by Curve. Of course, around the VE token, there are many different things that could be said, but I want to only focus on two things. The first one is, in order to create a VE token, in this case, a VECRV, you need to lock for a certain period, from 1 week to 4 years, the number of CRV token you want. If you have one CRV token and you lock it for 4 years, you end up with one VE CRV token. But if you lock them for 2 years, you will have 0.5 VE CRV token. So to have the maximum amount of VE token, you need to lock them for 4 years. It's quite logical. The people who lock for the longest period should be the one and end up with the more token. But there is a decay. Every week, your number of VE token is being reduced. Actually, after 2 years, you would have lost 50% of your balance. So your one VE CRV would have become actually 0.5 VE CRV. It's I think, a good design, because if you really want VE CRV and you really want to have the maximum of VE CRV, you constantly need to relock your token. And by doing this, you prevent tokens to arrive on the open market, to add some selling pressure and so on. So why you would want to have VE CRV? So as I said, there are many different things around the VE CRV, but for understanding this flywheel, I will just focus on one thing, voting power. So the way it works on Curve, if you are a liquidity provider in one pool, you are paid using, with two things. The first thing are the trading fees. Let's call it the natural or the organic yield. Every time someone does the swap, they pay fees, and the fees are spread half for you, the liquidity provider, and half for the protocol. And then the protocol will redistribute those fees to the VECRV holders. So VECRV holders, in addition to voting power, they also get some kind of dividends, staking rewards, let's say. But it is not enough to attract liquidity providers. So in addition to the trading fees, liquidity providers are also earning CRV token. And then it increased the yield by an order of magnitude 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So how the protocol decides how many CRV tokens should go to one or another pool? Well, it's the ECRV holders who are voting for it. So let's say this pool, the USDT, the USDC, receives 25% of the votes. Votes happen each week. It means that the next week, this pool will be allocated with 25% of the newly minted CRV tokens. So the more a pool receives votes, the more CRV token it receives, and therefore, the more yield the liquidity provider are making. And the cool thing is that you can actually bribe the people with voting power. Since the more vote, the better the yield, what you can do as a liquidity provider, it's literally to go to see those VE holders and tell them, please just vote for my pool. In exchange for your vote, I'm going to give you some money. Literally corruption. We don't like this word, bribe, corruption. So most of the time you will see voting incentives, this kind of thing. I like the word bribes. It's actually fairly accurate. We just buy votes. So it's kind of a bribe. But it creates some kind of nasty behavior because before the bribing to exist, VE holders, they were supposed to vote for the pools that bring them the most of the fees. Because remember, VCRV holders, they earn half of the trading fees. So obviously, the more volume happen, the better for them. So they are supposed to vote for the pool which generates the most fees, like that the liquidity provider of those pool will receive more CRV, so they will stay there, and actually it will maybe attract new liquidity provider. This will generate more fees, and hence they will earn more money. But the problem with the bribes is that it creates a conflict of interests. The holder no longer vote for the pool that generates the highest fees. They now vote for the pool which actually bribe the most. And it's absolutely economically rational. I mean, you want to do what is the best for you, not necessarily for the protocol. Anyway, what you need to understand is that bribe is actually something sustainable for some liquidity providers. They literally spend $1 to buy a vote, and this vote allows to redirect $1.2, $1.3 of CRV. So your net profit is $0.3. The difference between what you get as an emission versus what you paid for, it's called the bribe efficiency. So if you pay $1 and you receive $1.2, $1.3, the bribe efficiency is 1.3. So who are bribing? Well, I spoke about the liquidity provider, which is obviously the most logical, but you also have protocols who are bribing. Because maybe protocols, they don't want to use their own token to incentivize liquidity for their stablecoins, for example. They prefer to actually bribe, so liquidity providers are paid with another token. It's not our case yet. Our protocol do not bribe. Actually, it bribes, but for other reasons. It's because our protocol, the treasury, have voting power. So when we vote for pools, the pools that not belongs, but the pools that concern the protocol, we receive some of the bribes, and we recycle those bribes back into, again, the bribe pool. So we bribe, but not directly from our treasury, just because we get some bribes out of it. The flywheel I want to share with you now only concerns liquidity providers, so we can forget for now that protocols can bribe. So before going into details, there are three things that you need to understand for having a working flywheel. So first, we need to bribe big. Because if you bribe too small, most of the people who hold voting power, they will disregard your bribe. Imagine you are a holder who holds, I don't know, $500, $100,000 worth of VE token. And you have a pool, which is fairly small, and you just bribed $100. So guy, he will not go after your $100. He holds 100K, so he will go where there are bigger bribes, so he can just vote for this pool and get few like 20, 30% yield out of this. So the bigger the bribes, the better. You attract basically more people. Of course, if you have 5 small bribes, you will attract some people, like small holder or people will just dedicate a part of their holding to vote for your pool, but it's a lot of friction for them. So maybe you will just attract smaller one or just no one. So bribes, the size of the bribe is not proportional to the number of votes. If you bribe $1,000, you will not get 10 times more votes as if you would have bribed $100. Maybe you will get way more. But at the same time, if you bribe $10,000, you won't get 10 times more votes than if you have bribed with $1,000. Maybe you will get a bit less because at some point, the bigger you bribe and the more people you attract, and there is at some point a ceiling. So anyway, bribe big is the first rule. Then you should bribe with a token which is liquid. Of course, the temptation to bribe with your own token is always here, but your own token might not be super liquid, might not be super recognizable, and maybe people will just see this as another shitcoin. So it's better to actually bribe with ETH or USDC. This is what we do. All the flywheels that we have set in place are using USDC or USDT. And voters, they like this because they know they receive a token that they can keep or dump easily. And most importantly, you have to bribe regularly. Because on some platforms like on Curve or Velodrome, when you vote, you do not need to vote again the week after. You can just let it like that and your vote will basically be the same. It's frictionless. So if someone bribes a vote for a pool, which bribes every week, they know that, okay, every week they receive a part of the bribes. But if they see that one pool bribes 1 week and not another one and so on, they won't like it because they know that every week they will need to come back and maybe change their vote. It's time consuming, it's some friction, some frustrations. So voters, they like pools with big bribes, liquid token, and which bribes regularly. And this is exactly what we do. I spoke about the VE token. There is, of course, other form like the VE33 token. The main difference between the VE token and the VE33 is that the trading fees that are generated in those pools are actually recycled into bribes. So the trading fees are not earned by liquidity provider, like it is the case on all the VE DEX like Curve or Balancer. They are actually used as bribes to attract votes of VE holders. So in my example, it's a Velodrome, so VE Velo. So VE Velo holders, they will vote for the pool that generates the most fees because the fees are converted into bribes. And liquidity providers, they will receive the Velo token. So this was an explanation about how a flywheel works. I will just check if there are some questions and I will show you our flywheels, like how does it work, how can you participate and so on. So we are doing flywheels on multiple dexes, but I will just show you 2 dexes tonight. First to shorten the video, and then because it's repetitive. Once you understood the one, you can understand the other one. Also, the true reason is that I will show you the one that works the best. The best one for now is the Jarvis ETH pool on Aerodrome. It is a house of $1.1 million of liquidity, earning 15, let's say, percent APR, which is paid in Aero token, remember. So how does it work? We have a Discord channel, and we have someone called Arno who is responsible for this flywheel. So what does Arno do? He check who are all the liquidity providers. So he check on chain, checks the address of people, write down their liquidity, the number of LP token they have, so the percentage of share of liquidity. And we say, okay, you have $50,000. You should bribe 0.7% of those $50,000 every week. And then people, when they bribe, they check the the how to say, the spreadsheet. I will show you how does it look like by sharing another screen. So this one is on BSC and this one is Aero. So this looks like that. So here we have the identity of people. Some people use a pseudonym or over their own addresses. For example, here it's me. I didn't bribe yet. I'm a bit in late this week. But this week I have to bribe, like every week, 0.7% of my liquidity. I own $181,000 of liquidity in this pool. So I have to bribe 0.7%, which is basically 1,267 USDC. So I have to deposit USDC into the bribing contract of Aerodrome. And I'm not the only one. All those people that you see here, it's around 30 people, 30 liquidity provider. They all do the same every week. So this week, so far, we have been bribing $4,100. I will add my 1.2, so we'll go to $5,400. Last week, we have bribed $5,600, and the week before, we have bribed 5.4. It's almost always the same amount. Of course, the more liquidity there is, and the bigger we bribe because there are more people. But the question is it sustainable? So last week, we paid $5,600. And now we'll share again my other screen. We have a yield of 115%, which means that 115% multiplied by 1.1 million of liquidity. It's $1.2 million per year of Aero, which means $24,000 per week. So basically, we pay $5,600, and in exchange, we get $24,000. So for now, it is very good. Of course, it won't be the case forever. I mean, the efficiency of the bribes is decreasing over time. At some point, it will reach an efficiency of 2, which means that for $5,600 that we spend, we'll just get 11K. And it could go lower and lower and lower. Actually, for example, on curves, the efficiency is very low now. I think it's 1.2 or 1.3, which means that if you spend $1,000, you will just get 1.2, $1.3 in exchange, which is still profitable, but is not as insane as this flywheel. So here the efficiency is very big. And we have also quite a big efficiency on dot dot, which is on the BSC chain. Dot dot is basically something built on the top of ellipsis, which is a fork of curve, but on the BSC. Here the yield also is not bad. We have for Jarvis ETH, find it, of course. It's here. $311,000 of liquidity, 114% per year. We also have here a decent bribe efficiency. So for example, 311,000 multiplied by 1.14, 354 divided by 62, it's $6,800 per week of revenue. And how much did it cost us? So I'm going back now to another spreadsheet. So this one is a spreadsheet for dot dot. And as we can see, last week, we have bribed for $2,000. So $2,000 and we got 6.8. So here again, it's very good. It's almost free. I mean, it's actually more than 3 times what we pay. On Aerodrome, it's 4 times. So those are great numbers. So the things that you have to understand is that if people do not bribe, we will not have this yield. We control some voting power. When I say we, I mean, of course, the protocol. So the protocol have a position in Aerodrome, a position in dot dots. So we have a bit of voting power, but this voting power is too small. So if we were just using our voting power, the yield will also be very small. Maybe it will be 5, 10, maybe 20% a year. I don't know. So in order to content everyone, And in order to increase the yield, we had to ask our community and our liquidity providers for help. So the deal is easy. If no one bribes and we just use our voting power, everybody wins 5, 10, 20%. But if we all bribe and we put together our financial resources and we literally buy the yield, then we can get this. We can get 115% or even more per year. And before it was actually more. On Aerodrome, we went all the way up to 240% a year. On Dot at some point also, we were close to 200%. It goes lower because we have now more liquidity provider and because there is, of course, more competition. So the yield that you see is not free. It's the yield that the people participating in the flywheels are actually buying. But as you can see, we buy something cheap and we got emission which are less cheaper, I mean, more expensive. So we buy something for $1 and we get 2, 3, $4 in exchange. And this is how our flywheel works. And this is why it's called a flywheel. Because on the week one, you bribe $1 and you get $4. On the week two, you bribe again $1 and you get again $4. And if you want, you can even make it exponential. On the week one, you get $1. On the week two, you get $4. And then you can rebribe $2. So on the next week, you're gonna get 6 and so on. I mean, we can also increase this exponentially. Of course, at some point, there is a ceiling, but you can't go over. But this is why it's called a flywheel. So this flywheel helped us generating high yield for more than a year now. We started in January, February 2023. For the liquidity providers, I'm fairly happy with the results. All the other LP are also very happy. It created a good dynamic in our Discord. Free committee members are actually responsible for those flywheels. Like they announce themselves that, okay, I will take care of this. So it's them who are managing the spreadsheet and so on. But fortunately for them, now we have automate a lot of this process. So here is the Jarvis Money application. And if you go on staking, you can see that you can actually get ST Jarvis. So ST Jarvis is not staked Jarvis. It is staked liquidity token, which includes the Jarvis token. So for example, on BSC, the ST Jarvis is actually the tokenization of your Jarvis ETH LP token. On BSC, this is on BSC, sorry, so on Base, it is the Jarvis ETH LP token of Aerodrome. On Optimism, it is the LP token of Velodrome. We will launch other kind of ST Jarvis. So for now, all the ST Jarvis are with pool with a weight of 50-50. But maybe some people don't want to commit 50% of ETH. Maybe you just want to commit 20%. Maybe you want just to commit 2%. So there will be other pools. There will be 80-20 pools using, of course, Balancer. We will apply for a gauge there. And there will be 98-2 also pools, where here the yield will be much lower, but still very decent. I have no ETA on those different pools, the 80-20 and the 98-2. So for now, we just focus on the 50-50 pools. So if you want to join those pools and if you want to have voting power and also other benefits, because with ST Jarvis, you will have other benefits like sharing revenue, receiving airdrops of future tokens, and so on. So the best is to basically deposit the liquidity, not through Aerodrome, not through Dot or LPC or whatever, but directly through our application. If you already provide liquidity, you have to withdraw the liquidity and do it again through our application. So in the staking application, you can deposit both Jarvis and ETH token. And then we do everything. We deploy a vault for you. Only you, of course, can manage this vault. And then this vault deposits the liquidity into Aerodrome, stake it into the gauge. And from our application, you can, of course, add and withdraw, but you can also claim your rewards. You can also bribe directly. So for example, here, according to my liquidity, I have to bribe 788 USDT. Well, as for now, I just have 72. So in order to bribe, what I have to do first is to claim So I have to claim my reward. Now I have like almost $2,500 of reward. 2.4, sorry, $1,000 of reward. Then I will sell those rewards for USDT, and then I will bribe. A bit in late, I'm supposed to do it the Sunday because we have a calendar. Basically, you have to bribe Sunday, the worst case, the Monday. So you have to bribe Sunday, Monday. And then every week starts the Wednesday. So the bribe that you do now is to attract the votes that will finish the following Wednesday. And then from the following next day to the next Wednesday after, of course, we have 1 week of yield. So the rule is simple. You deposit your liquidity there, you bribe what the application tells you to do, and then you enjoy your yield. And you have to do this every week. You should not miss 1 week. Because if you miss 1 week, you will earn yield, but it will be yield paid by other people. And if we all want to generate yield in a fair way, we all have to play the game. Of course, it can happen sometimes that you forget 1 week or you can't or whatever, but it has to be just once. You can't do it every time. Of course, you can. We won't go after you. We can't do anything, but you have to understand that you have to play the game because if you start refusing playing the game, then someone else will also stop playing the game, and then someone else. And then the flywheel will collapse because in order for a flywheel to work, you need actually that most of the LP play the game. Ideally, 100% of the LP should bribe. So that's it for the explanation about the flywheel and how to join in. So fairly easy again, you go on Jarvis menu, staking, deposit your liquidity. For now, it's only on BSC, Base, and Velodrome. It works the best for now on Aerodrome and so Base and BSC. Every Sunday, you just bribe, you claim your reward, join our Discord, come to speak with the people who are managing the flywheels. They can help you if you have some difficulties, and so on and so on. Okay, so just checking if there are questions. No questions, perfect. So the last part of this live is about Cascade. So I told you that we're going to speak a bit about the roadmap. So first, you have to understand that Jarvis is not just doing stablecoins. Stablecoins are part of a protocol called Synthereum. There is a reason why we were dissociating Synthereum from Jarvis network is because since day one, we want to do many things. We just were focused for a very long time on Synthereum. But now that the code is over, we just have to deploy on our chains to maintain a bit, but we can focus on our things. And one of our focus is Cascade. So I won't share a lot of details. I won't explain you everything that we want to do with it. I won't give you, how to say, all the ideas or people who wants to work with. I will just explain you the basic feature of Cascade. And the first feature is called Metapool. So you have all heard about Metapools. A Metapool is a pool containing another pool. You have Metapools on Balancer, you have Metapools on Curve. Maybe you have heard about the free CRV pool, which is basically the first Metapool of its kind. And the idea of a Metapool is that you can pair one token with a pool inside a pool to reuse the liquidity, to recycle the liquidity. So the liquidity can be at two different places at the same time. This is what Cascade is about, at least for the liquidity side. Cascade. Cascade is not a DEX. Cascade is not a yield optimizer. Cascade is many things. It is a protocol for meta governance. We're gonna do things with bribe and so on, but as I said, I won't go into details. The first and only thing I will tell you about it's Cascade is a protocol to generalize metapools. So this example, I mean, that you have here is, I think, fairly straightforward. So what Metapool can do is to create a if USD pool on Uniswap v3. But this pool is not containing just two tokens. It's not ETH and USD. It actually contains liquidity pool. So for example, we could pair a liquidity pool on Balancer with a liquidity pool on Velodrome and to put them together into Uniswap v3 and to be able to swap USDC for wrap STTH. So to be able to exchange wrap STTH from Balancer for USDC from Velodrome. And this pool on Uniswap not only holds the pools, but the LP token are staked within the underlying gauges, which means that inside this Uniswap v3 pool, you have wrap STTH ETH pool earning BAL, USDC DAI earning Velo, and you can do swap between each other. And of course, you can earn additional rewards. For example, Cascade will have also gauges. So liquidity provider in this Uniswap v3 pool, they will be able to earn Cascade token. But as I said, we want to generalize Metapool. So this example is about Uniswap v3, but I could have made another example. It could have been USDC DAI on Uniswap v3 and wrap STTH on Balancer, but deposited on Velodrome to apply to a gauge on Velodrome in order to earn also the Velo reward. So you could have ETH USD pool on Velodrome, earning Velo, but also earning BAL, and earning, I mean, nothing because on Uniswap v3 it's only trading fees, but earning the trading fees also of Uniswap v3. And we can even add our own gauge on the top of it. So this will be like a multiple level of rewards. And what I like about this design is that we do not steal liquidity. We actually take existing liquidity. It's not like a vampire attack. And we match them within another DEX that already exists. We don't do our own DEX. So, for example, what you can see here, it will bring volume to Uniswap v3, but also to Velodrome and to Balancer. And the example I have given before will also bring volume to Balancer, Velodrome, and Uniswap. This is the only thing I can tell you about Cascade. We have started working on the infrastructure. We have started working on the router, which allows to swap one token for another one. But for now, we are mainly working on finishing a few things on Syntherum. As I said, the code is finished, but we are deploying right now on Gnosis chain. We deployed last week on Binance Smart Chain. We deployed partially the protocol on Base, but now we are waiting for Chainlink Oracle to fully deploy the rest of the protocol. But as soon as we have finished all of those protocol deployments, we will focus 100% on Cascade. Okay, so it was a pleasure to explain you a bit more about this new protocol and about the Flywheel. Don't forget to join our Discord if you want to participate and to join our Flywheels. It's a community effort and we need more people in order to maintain this yield and increase the liquidity. So I invite you to come and join us in our Discord and meet our Flywheel owner. See you soon, everyone. Bye.